This video is part of our guide to applying for social housing for people with an intellectual disability, and it's presented to you by Inclusion Ireland. This video will tell you about the application form. It is for you to watch before or during filling it out. Listen to each point and think about any information you might need to look for that you don't know already. You can pause and go back at any time. The form is in 12 parts. It's quite long. Take your time and take breaks when you need to. If you would like some support in filling it out, you can ask someone you trust to help you. You can also go to a housing officer at your local authority offices or the Citizens Information Service. So, let's get started with Part 1. Part 1 is for personal details. This part asks you for things like your name, your date of birth, and your current address. If there is someone else applying for social housing supports with you, like a partner for example, then they will also have to fill this bit out. Part 2 is called Nationality Details, and it asks you where you were born, what language you speak, when you came to Ireland if you lived somewhere else before, and your citizenship status. For example, if you are Irish, English, American, or other nationality. Part 3 is where you give any information about employment if you have a job. It asks if you are working, and if you are, what job you have. It will also ask you for your employer's details, like their company name and address. Part 4. Weekly income details. Here, you will put down what money is coming into your household from things like employment or social welfare. You also have to include anything that is taken out of your wages, like taxes. Part 5. Details of other household members seeking accommodation. Part 5 asks for information about the other people who will live with you. For example, a partner. It asks for things like their name, their nationality, and their date of birth. This part asks you about where you are living right now. Part 6, Current accommodation. It asks you if you own or rent the house you live in, and what type of housing it is. If you are renting, you'll need to give information and proof of this. It also asks why you are looking for support and what is available to you in your house at the moment, such as hot water or a toilet. You're halfway through and on to accommodation history. This will ask you where you have lived in the past 5 years. You need to include information such as if you were renting, how long you lived in each place, and if you got social housing supports. Part 8. Housing requirements. This section asks if you identify as an Irish traveller, so you can be included in traveller accommodation programmes if you want to. This gives local authorities information that they need to improve their traveller accommodation programmes. This information will not affect whether a person is eligible for social housing supports. This section also gives you the opportunity to describe what would make your home more accessible to you. Examples might be the addition of a wet room, wider doors, lowered surfaces, raised garden, quiet neighbourhood, single level build, ramps, walk-in shower, accessible parking, grab bars. Well, you get the idea. There are lots of ways to adapt or build a home to suit each individual, so have a good think about this one. This is also where you give any information about your disability or medical conditions so that all of your support needs can be noted. You also add your filled HMD Form 1 to this section and an occupational therapist report if you need to. That's right, another form. But don't worry, we have a short video about that too. It's included at the end of this video and also on the housing section of our website. Again, if you need support to fill this out, you can ask someone you trust, a housing officer at your local authority, or a citizens' information representative. Part 9. Basis for application. You can only apply to one local authority. You must either live in that local authority area or have a connection to it, like you work there, you study there, or you have a relative living there for more than 2 years. You select boxes beside the towns that you would like to live in. A home is more than just a house. It is about the community, what's available there, and the whole area. Make sure to have a long think about where you would have a good life and be happy. Part 10 is for any information about other properties. It asks if you own any property or land. If someone is applying with you, like a partner, you must also answer for them here. If you do not own any land or property, just put NA or not applicable. Part 11. Public order offences and other information. This section asks if you have been convicted of certain crimes in the past 5 years. The crimes relate to antisocial behaviour that might mean you would not be a good tenant. And the final part. If you think that there's any other information that would be useful for the local authority to know, or that would help your application, then you can put it here in Part 12, Other Information. This gives you an opportunity to add a personal element to your application if you want to. You can include why you feel getting social housing supports is important for you, some points about why your current living situation can be improved by getting these supports, or any other points about your own experience. And finally, all that is left to do once you have filled the form and added all of the things on the checklist that apply to you is to sign the declaration. This is a promise by you that all of the information you provided is correct and true. We have added a short video to the end of this about filling the HMD Form 1, but you might want to hit pause and take a break. That form was pretty long and it can be stressful and tiring to have to fill these out all at once. For more information about housing and supported independent living, check out the housing section on our website. You can find it at www.inclusionireland.ie/housing. When you apply for social housing, it is important to give as much detailed information as possible. This will not only ensure that you get the right home for you, but it will also highlight that you may be entitled to higher priority on the waiting list. To do this, you must fill in the HMD Form 1. This is also known as the Disability and/or Medical Information Form. It's available from your local housing authority. It's easy once you know how, and in this short video, we're going to take you through filling it step by step. So, who fills out the form? Section 1 and 2 are filled by the individual with a disability or medical condition who wishes to apply for social housing support, you. Section 3 and 4 are filled by 2 healthcare professionals who support you. These can be your consultant, your general practitioner or GP, your mental health nurse, public health nurse or PHN, occupational therapist, and/or your social worker. If there are any special requirements or adaptations needed, then an occupational therapist report needs to be added to the application. The first part is yours. Section 1 is where you fill in information about your disability and/or your medical condition. Section 2 is where you fill in information about yourself, such as your name, PPS number, and your date of birth. This section is for your healthcare professionals. You don't have to fill in anything here, but you may be interested in what it's about. Section 3 is in 4 parts. The first is information about the healthcare professionals, such as their name, their phone number, and how they support you. Part B tells the local authority about where you live now and if that arrangement is the best one for you. Part C says if a change in living situation would make your life better and why. It also has a box where your healthcare professionals can say what type of building and environment would be best for you. Part D asks your healthcare professionals what supports would help you to live a good life in your community. You may need new supports, and your healthcare professionals will let the local authority know about this in this section. And we're on to the final section. Section 4 is where your healthcare professionals sign a statement that promises all the information that they have provided is true, and that the local authority can contact them in the future to talk about your application. And that's how you fill in the HMD Form 1 when applying for social housing supports. If you would like more information about housing and independent living, check out our website at www.inclusionireland.ie/housing. Inclusion Ireland works towards the full inclusion of people with intellectual disabilities by supporting people to have their voices heard and advocating for rights under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. This is also known as the UNCRPD. If you'd like to know more about our work, you can find us on our website at www.inclusionireland.ie, or why don't you check us out on our social media? You'll find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you found this video useful, head on over to our YouTube channel, click like and subscribe to keep informed about new content and join our movement for change.